Hello, everyone. This is author, motivational speaker, and dating coach Matthew C. Horne, and I'm bringing you a video tonight titled "Your Rotation of Women is an Illusion." It's been brought to you by my books, How to Get Beautiful Women and Everything Else You Want from Life, in addition to How to Be Appealing to Successful Black Men for Black Women. They're both available at my website, www.matthewchorne.com. And to everyone who's ordered your copies, they're on the way. Thank you so much for everyone who's been supporting me and ordering my books. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and to continue to push me with the algorithm so I can continue to bring you these elevated messages. And let's get right to it. Your rotation of women is an illusion. And the premise of tonight's video is that if you have a collection of women in your rotation, that means none of them stand out. So you can't overinflate your rotation and every woman's value that's in your rotation, because it's nothing more than an illusion of a revolving door of women who you're not quite sold on. But they're attractive enough and they're receptive and respectful enough to stay in your space. That's the natural course of action for a sexually attractive man. He's going to have a rotation of women. But I don't want you to make this rotation of women more than what they are. Things are always changing. That's the only constant in life that it gives us is change. And so things can change with women at any given moment in time. No woman is really yours until she's yours. So expect the change. Expect the deviation of women that are in your space, that may be here today and gone tomorrow. So you can't make your rotation more than what it actually is. And a mistake that I see a lot of men make, and I have some good friends who hang close to me and they know I'm in the dating space, and I get to hear their dating experiences, and I assess things and we just have good conversation. But a common mistake that I see men make is that they think that they have a harem of women and not a rotation. See, only the ancient Roman deities had harems of women. And those women, those multiplicity of women remained in this space due to fear and provision, meaning that you don't want to cross the king and you're going to have a better experience in his space in terms of provision if you're in his space versus where you came from. So the ancient Roman deities, they had a harem of women due to providing for them, provision, and fear. You don't cross the king. And I have good friends who get kind of we're close, and we have conversations, and they may have been out of the game for a while and they're looking to me to help them to step back into the game. And so they share experiences with me. And one thing that I see is that they'll be overly excited about women they just met in their rotation. They'll just be overly excited. They'll say things like, oh, she doesn't go out much. Oh, she's so young and she's so pretty. And I have this woman here and I have this woman there. And their ego makes them think that they have a harem of women, not understanding the instability that comes with having a rotation of women. Meaning that don't be an idiot. If you're out here dealing with multiple women, then the women in your rotation are dealing with multiple men. And I see these guys, they get disappointed because a woman that they thought was in a particular place in their harem showed that she was just in their rotation. They disappear, they ghost with no explanation. And a lot of these guys, they get upset because they thought that they had all of these women on lock. That's very egotistical to think. Even if you're the sexually attractive man, that's very egotistical to think that you can have a collection of women under your thumb and that they're at your beck and call and they're going to stay there. They might be there for a moment, but shit changes. That's what a rotation is. It's a revolving door, and you have to accept it as that. And then I have to talk to these men and just explain to them that it was just your turn. It's a revolving door, so that obviously and deductively means that it's just your turn with any women that's in your space. So you can't make the women in your rotation more than what they are. They're just a representation of a revolving door. And women, they're not solid until they come under the leadership of a solid man. And so if they're available and they're single, that means that they're not under the leadership of a solid man. So they're subject to do anything at any given moment in time. So you can be never married to the concept of a rotation as a harem. No, it's just a rotation. It's just a revolving door of women. And that's it. They're members of the rotation until they come under the leadership and the guidance of an elevated man. And I have another video I'll probably make about that this week, how women are solidified from the transfer of the leadership from their fathers to an elevated man. But I want to stay on topic. So you don't want to make your rotation more than what it actually is. It's just your turn, and you just eat the fruits of the spoils until they're spoiled. You eat those fruits until they're no longer enjoyable. That's how you effectively navigate a rotation. And you have to pay attention to how women function in your rotation. That's the next point I want to make. For a woman to function in your rotation as a sexually attractive man who loves himself, you have to be at the top of her rotation. Because if a woman has a rotation, there are men or a man, more importantly, a man who is at the top, and there are other men who are eating scraps who get to see her whenever she wants to see him, and it may not be in accordance with the same frequency that he wants to see her. So the man at the top of the rotation, she never cancels. And since you both have a rotation, you can present to her, I want to see you. You may even have a particular day, and then she'll just say, okay, I'm available this day. So considering that you both are dealing with people, as long as the woman continuously makes herself present to you and doesn't cancel on you and give you a solidified date and keep it, she deserves to stay in your rotation. And you can't get so egotistical that you think this woman should be at your beck and call, but whatever dates that you all set, she keeps. That's how you know you're in the mix and you're at the top of her rotation. She sees you as an optimal option. But then the men who are lesser men, who aren't the sexually attractive men, these are placeholders in her rotation. And these men are the men that have to eat the shit. These are the men that she may give a date to, and they try to confirm, and that man hears from her 2, 3, 4 hours later, maybe 24 hours later, meaning she's playing her options, meaning that you are a lesser option and she's playing around with you. And if you get a date, oftentimes, if you're not the optimal man, even if she is slow in replying to you and gives you a date, it's not steady. It's not stable, so she's liable to cancel on you at any given moment in time, and she does that. But as a sexually attractive man, you're always monitoring the energy of the women that are in your rotation, meaning that the dates stick. And if a woman, disappears for a period of time, then you understand that someone might have replaced you at the position that you want to be in her rotation, based on you having the understanding that you are an optimal option. Sexually attractive men don't eat scraps. So if a woman's energy changes and she either disappears without explanation, or she pushes you, lower down on the rotation, and she's slow getting back to you now, and she's feeding you delayed plays and things like that, just get out, eliminate her from your rotation. Because to effectively have a rotation, every woman has to be available to you, and she can't cancel, which is a representation that she sees you as a top option. So you always want to be at the top of the woman's rotation as a sexually attractive man if you're going to deal with her, because this is the reality of the sexually attractive man, okay? We're single until we're not, just like every other person. But there has to be a level of treatment that keeps us in a woman's space. And so a sexually attractive man is going to always keep his word. The cornerstone of how a sexually attractive man deals with women is based on the fact that he's made a proclamation as to the kind of man that he is, meaning that He's intelligent and cerebral enough to understand that he has to give every woman that's shown up in his space the right way a good experience. And so you're not canceling on women. You're not playing around with women if they're in your rotation. You're making yourself available to them, and every one of them should feel like they have a respectful fullness of your presence because you're constantly keeping your word. That's what solid men do, and that's how you keep a solid rotation. Your rotation is anchored by the magnitude of man that you are, by the quality of man that you are. So if you have women in your space who are giving you a quality experience, in turn, you're going to give them a quality experience as well. And that's how you have a peaceful rotation of women. You have an elevated experience with every woman you're dealing with because you're anchoring it as the leader. Meaning that you've made a declaration as to the type of man that you are and that you're going to be. Every woman that's shown up in your space the right way, you're giving her a good experience. Even if she's not necessarily the first choice that can pull you away from the rotation. And that's how sexually attractive men do. You have a collection of women because you're so appealing. And you don't disappear from these women until someone separates himself from the pack. That's why I made my initial statement. None of them stand out until they do. But when a woman stands out in your rotation, meaning that you're constantly meeting women and no one really stands out, so you're dealing with multiple women. But when a woman stands out, meaning that she's a little different, you develop a different level of emotion towards her, then you do the right thing. You don't have to ghost these women because these are women you're dealing with on a regular basis. These are good women. So what you do when you met someone who's a little more captivating than the rest, then you just let them know. Like, hey, we've been having a good time. I'm very satisfied with how you've been showing up. Hopefully you have a good perception of me, but I met someone. And that's the proper way to leave a rotation. And that way the door is open if things don't work out between you and this new girl that you're looking to explore. Because she's not your wife if she stands out. She just is standing out amongst the pack, and you have a little bit more hope for her than the rest of the women that you're dealing with based on your desire for her being elevated above the rest of the women that you're dealing with. So that's how you successfully exit your rotation, and those women are going to remember that because they're used to dealing with low quality men that are playing games and disappearing and ghosting and stuff like that. But if you leave the rotation respectfully, then more than likely there'll be an open door if she's still available if things don't work out with the girl that you have your eyes on. And you have to pay attention to how women leave your rotation as well. Because this is the way that women are constructed, okay? If you're at the top of her rotation, she more than likely wants more with you. But you're not into her enough to give her that, but you're still giving her a good experience. And she can acknowledge that you are a man that she's not just passing time with, but you're an enjoyable experience, and she's elevated by being around you, even if she knows she can't quite be in your space the way that she wants to. So you have to pay attention to the way that women leave your rotation. A lot of women, when they leave your rotation, first of all, a quality woman is going to leave your rotation in a respectful manner. She's going to do exactly how I explained the quality man should do. She's going to say, hey, I met someone. And a lot of times, this man isn't necessarily her first choice, but he has enough characteristics and he's giving her the experience that she ultimately wants. No woman just wants to stay in a rotation, okay? But women ultimately want a man to take them out of the dating game. That's how God hardwired them to pair themselves with men. So she'll respectfully let you know that she met someone. And that's a woman that you can be happy for and that you can say, hey, I hope things work out between you and this guy. So the atmosphere with the departure of her from you is respectful. And that's a woman, and all she's trying to do is to see if things can work out with this guy. And because this guy's showing up differently than you are, and acknowledge that. He wants her, okay? He wants to fully pair himself with her. You're experiencing her. And so that guy, rightfully so, she should focus squarely on him. And that's a respectable woman. I mean, that's an elevated woman right there. Even though you know that, even though she's showing up consistently, you'll probably never want her the same way that this man wants her. You're not upset when she leaves because she did it in a respectful manner and she left your space acknowledging that you're a quality man. And those are women that are an option if things don't work out with that man. Because she left respectfully, meaning she sees you the way that you see yourself. She has a reverence for you. She had enough respect to let you know that she's just not going to be around. She didn't ghost you. She just gave you a respectful notice that, hey, I met someone and this might go somewhere. And you might know that she wanted to go somewhere with you, but you didn't want to go that way with her. And so you respectfully and peacefully let her go explore whatever she's going to do. And that's perfectly fine. It's a revolving door. You can never be married to your rotation. Things are always changing. It's not a harem, it's a rotation. It's a rotation, man. It's unpredictable. It's ever changing. That's the nature of a rotation. You just have to have a collection of women that see you at the top. Even if you don't want, ultimately what they want, they still have to have that level of respect for you. And if they find another man, they respectfully exit. That is a woman who is a viable option if things don't work out with the men that they want to pair themselves with, because they couldn't pair themselves with you. But then there's other women who leave your rotation and they ghost. Or they more or less demote you. And what was once good treatment, because you love yourself and you had her in your space based on her good treatment, now she starts to cancel. Now she starts to be delayed in terms of when you all are going to get together. And, she's feeding you scraps and she's feeding you shit. And those women, a lot of them, they are trying to get out of your space. And as a sexually attractive man, you let them go. The minute that the treatment falls off from what is aligned with the man that you are, you let them go. And a lot of those women will try to come back. They'll try to come back. But since that woman doesn't necessarily respect you and revere you, then when she comes back, you can't let her back in your space. And I had this experience last year. I believe it was last year. And there was a woman I was dealing with for a short period of time. I gave her a good experience. I kept my word. I showed up. I was into her. But not enough time had elapsed for me to see how into her I was. And I was dealing with so many women that she hadn't stood out yet. But one thing I can stand on as a solid man is that I kept my word. And, we dealt with each other a couple of times. And in her mind, I guess she wanted more, but she went about it the wrong way. Like, she just ghosted. And me, I didn't care. I had other women. And so I just let her go. And we ended up matching on a dating app. I didn't even realize it was her. And she was like, oh, it's so nice to reconnect with you. And, it was good, when we were hanging and all this other stuff. And I'm looking at her like, oh, that's you. I said, listen, if I would have known it was you, I wouldn't have swiped on you. I was like, you exited my space in a way that I didn't necessarily agree with, and it didn't match who I was in your life and how I showed up. And she was just like, oh, I had some things going on and I wanted more, and I wanted to go on some dates and all this other stuff. And she could have communicated that to me instead of ghosting. But the fact that she went about exiting my space in a disrespectful manner, I had to tell her, once we inadvertently reconnected, because I wouldn't have done it if I would have known it was her. I wouldn't have swiped on her. Once we reconnected, I had to stand 10 toes down and just let her know that I can't come back. You left in a disrespectful way, because when you let a woman who disrespected you come back and you were a good presence in her life, She knows that you don't respect yourself. And so when she comes back, it's going to be short lived and it's going to be filled with bullshit. I promise you that. Because she doesn't respect you. That's why she left in a disrespectful manner. And you have to accept that. And you have to be willing to go down to 0 women. A rotation is just an illusion. A rotation of women is not a validation of you as a man. It's an illusion because none of those women have stood out. It's just a collection of women that you have access to for a short period of time. By virtue of you being a sexually attractive man, you're going to find yourself in a space of women. You're going to have a rotation. But if someone exits your rotation in a disrespectful manner, you let them stay right there when they try to come back because they don't respect you. And then their disrespect for you is going to compound for the disrespect that you have for yourself if you let her back in. She knows she left on some bullshit. She's going to give you a story of, oh, things were happening, this changed. She's going to give you some bullshit, but ultimately she knows if you're a top tier man with options, you're not going to let her back in. And if you have self-respect, you're going to remember exactly how she disrespectfully exited your space. So you can't do anything but lose if you let the disrespectful woman who exited your rotation in a disrespectful manner come back. You're going to lose because on an unconscious and conscious level, she knows you don't respect yourself. And women who understand you don't respect yourself, they're dangerous. They'll put you in any kind of situation. So even within a rotation, you always have to monitor the woman's level of desire and respect for you. That's how she stays there. And even if she leaves respectfully, she can come back because there was an element of respect. That's what has to govern your rotation, not access to the puthi, the self-respect that you have for yourself. Nothing in life is going to be balanced, even a rotation. Nothing in life is going to be balanced as a man until the sensation of self-respect is greater than the sensation of disrespectful pussy. That's how your life stays balanced because everything has to be in your space based on the respect and love that you have for yourself. That's how you can successfully have a rotation of women. And the fact that you understand that you don't own these women, you're just experiencing them, you will not see them as a harem. But as a sexually attractive man who's anchored and who's governed within himself, you will not be afraid to let any woman go. So a woman can leave your rotation, whether it's respectful or disrespectful, and you just keep it going. And a lot of times, you know, women will give you the I want more and we've had a good time together and but I've just gotten to the place where I want more because, you know, a lot of times this casual life as a sexually attractive man, you understand that you're on borrowed time, even if the woman tells you that she's just looking for something casual. That's the entryway into your rotation. You all have an understanding of a casual interaction. But as an elevated presence in any woman's life, naturally, she's going to want more because you're more of a presence than the other men that she's dealing with. And a lot of these women will get to that place where they said they wanted something casual, but then they ultimately conclude that they want something more because you're a representation of an elevated life for them. They've been better by virtue of them being in your presence. As an elevated man, that's how you affect women, even in a casual capacity. Your presence elevates their quality of life, and they acknowledge that. And so they'll say, I want more. But see, these are the women that, you know, they're making their exit, and they're trying to run a play that maybe you'll come to their side. It's a little manipulative that you'll come to their side and say, okay, baby, I want more. It's more of an ultimatum. And they're surprised when they exit your space and you don't even respond because you have a collection of women. Even if she was your only woman, as a sexually attractive man, you still have a collection of women that you have yet to meet, and it's not going to take long to meet them because you're constantly swimming in the sea of beautiful women. And so that's how you effectively navigate the rotation. And those women, a lot of them are surprised that you didn't try to make your way into their space when they gave you the ultimatum, which was disguised as an exit. That's how they do. They just, they fold their hand. They say, I wasn't able to get him, through consistently having sex with him and being around him. Let me say, hey, I want more, and it's been nice to meet you, and I want to leave your presence. There's so many women that run that play, and they're so surprised when you just don't even respond because they didn't inspire you to want more. And there's no point in responding to them because there's other women in your rotation, even if there's 0 women in your rotation. You have to inhale that, meaning that she might have been the last one hanging on because it's always changing. Women are meeting other men. Women are going through stuff. Women are just self-sabotaging, where they'll just remove themselves from your space due to something that doesn't make any sense. That's why a woman is not solidified until she's under the guidance of a solid man. So that's why they do unpredictable things, and you can't be married to your rotation. So when those women attempt to make their exit, yeah, you're going to have some women who exit respectfully, keep them as an option. But then you're going to have some women who ghost you, disrespect, or women who give you an ultimatum through a supposed exit. And that's manipulation and disrespect as well. So you always want to have a space open for respectful women because, like I said, the sexually attractive man, he's anchored by the man that he's declared himself to be, meaning that you're going to give women a solid experience. So you know that you gave every woman in your rotation a solid experience, and you're just looking for the women who recognize the magnitude of your impact in their life and the smoothness and the consistency of your presence in their life. Those are the women who can stay in your space. Those are the women who can stay in your rotation. So that's pretty much all I have to say. This has been Matthew C. Horne, author, motivational speaker, and dating coach. Bring you a video tonight titled, Your Rotation is an Illusion. It's been brought to you by my books, How to Get Beautiful Women and Everything Else You Want from Life, in addition to How to Be Appealing to Successful Black Men for Black Women. They're both available on my website, www.matthewchorne.com. Get your copies. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and to continue to push me with the algorithm so I can continue to have visibility and presence to bring more men this elevated message. And for everyone who's been inquiring about me making custom videos, I'll say it again, a donation of $50 or more to my PayPal or my Cash App that's in my video description will get your custom video made on my page, my channel, Matthew C. Horne Dating. Leave your subject matters that you will want me to discuss in a note in PayPal or Cash App. Or if your subject matter is more in depth and you want to email me so I can dissect it and respond, make your donation on PayPal or Cash App, but email me at matt@matthewchorne.com with the description, the more in-depth description of what you want me to discuss, and I will parcel it out line by line and give you your response on video. You'll get the answers you're looking for. And if my message has been of value to you and your thought processes have been elevated as a result of hearing my message tonight, donate something substantial to my PayPal or my Cash App. You know I'm spitting that real, man. I'm taking my time. I'm giving you these elevated, dissected, and very delineated messages. These are very complete messages. So I want you all to donate and show your love, man. Show your support for these messages that I'm bringing to you. And if you're in need of coaching, don't forget to email me at matt@matthewchorne.com. Leave your name, your phone number, and whatever issue that you're facing in the dating space, and I will do an assessment of everything that you said, and I will get back to you immediately with the terms of the coaching, and the coaching will begin immediately. I've enjoyed spending some time with you tonight, and just understand, it's a rotation, it's not a harem. You don't own any of these women. These women are not solid until they come under the leadership of a solid man. So any woman in your rotation is subject to do anything at any given moment in time because she's not under anyone's leadership. It's a wild card. Don't have any expectations for these women. Don't be mad when they disappear. It's just a rotation. It's not a harem. And abide accordingly. Give every woman that's giving you an elevated experience and a good experience in your rotation. Be a solid man. Make a declaration into the type of man that you're going to be. The results are not going to be solidified in your life until you make the declaration and the proclamation into the type of man that you're going to be. Every woman, regardless of your level of attraction and desire for her, every woman is going to feel your solid presence in her life because you made a declaration as to the type of man that you're going to be. That's the only way that you're going to have solidified and consistent results in your life. Your rotation, the experience surrounding your rotation is based on the magnitude of man that you become and the solid declarations that you've made regarding the kind of man that you're going to be. I'll see you soon.